Reading from chapter 2 here in my book, Loved. It's called Unraveling, and at first it says, "Darling, everything is as it should be." Whoever marries him will be a lucky woman, I thought to myself, gazing at Brian over my study notes. We had taken to occasionally studying together in the McLaren building at the University of Victoria. Usually the conversation was peppered with controversial debates over topics such as the value of the United States of America versus Canada, and Brian and I were always on opposite sides. Yet I saw that his loyalty and his good, steadfast heart would be a catch for someone to wake up to every morning. Months later, I had a dream I was in a wedding dress marrying Brian. This was a surprise considering I was dating someone else. Several months later, though, we began dating, and we were like two magnets of opposite force that couldn't separate. Brian was kind and considerate, always devoted to me, and soon became the love of my life. And I was his. We dated 4 years, including a wonderful year teaching together in Japan, where we were engaged. I didn't ever anticipate the roller coaster ride ahead, commonly called marriage. Hi, I'm Cara. This is Everyday Joy 11. I'm reading a bit from my book, but it's, as you can see, diving into the issues in relationships that we can have. I read a bit more so you can get a taste of where we're headed. My first shock came the day after we were married. Brian had left our gift opening party to visit his folks in their hotel because unfortunately his mom was quite sick at the time. I wished he had told me where he went. Alarmingly, a small communication issue soon turned into an axe-throwing hollering match, with the both of us storming the beach where we were staying in the midnight hours and yelling I don't know what at each other. Here we had been thinking a private night on my parents' beach would be a romantic thing. The poor neighbors. Afterwards, we held each other in my mom and dad's small travel trailer, nurturing our hurting hearts. We laid there wondering what on earth had just happened. Have you found, either in your marriage or in some of your deep relationships, that where you were hoping to be safe and held and nurtured, that instead you felt stabbed and almost betrayed? It's such a heart-wrenching feeling because the things that come out of our hearts can hurt each other so deeply. I've been there. I think you've been there too. And what do? Where's the way out? Where's the way out? I would just love to, I'm just itching to read just a little bit more. This bit is called Helplessness. I hated yelling. Inside it made me cringe and want to run for cover. I didn't understand how to navigate intense emotions and simply felt attacked with painful arrows. Perhaps it was the clutter of the diaper bag sitting in the hallway or kids' toys on the floor. I felt helpless and couldn't figure out what to do to defend myself or bring peace. Friends would wonder why I just didn't pick up the clutter. Problem solved. Yet after several years of marriage, I believed that if I picked up the clutter, then the kitchen was too messy. If the kitchen was clean, then it was the coffee not made right. I just didn't have it in me to have 2 toddlers at home in a perfectly clean house. And if it wasn't housework, it was that I spent too much money. Anyways, I believed it went deeper than the clutter. Certainly it was over my head to figure out. We couldn't spend a whole day together without anger ruining our peace. I look back and I think, my husband was right on both counts. I could have kept a cleaner house, and I spent money much more freely than him. Furthermore, I can see that my passive, hopeless thinking was sadly rooted in powerlessness, period. Even at the time, I would agree with my husband on what he was upset about. I could see that for his personality, these 2 issues would be a concern. He loved a clean house, and he didn't spend much money. The problem was not in his perception. He was right regarding what he wanted. The unfortunate part was that he didn't marry himself or someone like him. And forcing me to be like him was leading to disaster. Or was it? The pressure I was under was not helpful. Was it? Who was I anyway? Surely there must be space to live out our lives the way we want. Or is there? I didn't know what to do. I'm going to pause there. That is the question. Do we have space to live out our lives the way we want to? And what happens when we're being hurt? You know, that's what I dive into in my book, Loved. But I just want to say for today that when things in our hearts are exposed, that can actually be a good thing, because we can bring it to God, who knows how to heal us, but he knows how to handle the depths of our emotion. And he does make a difference. He comes in, and I would spend countless times coming to him and saying, I am so mad about this, and express my frustration and my pain, and the aching in my heart to him. And when I did that first of all, it dissipates it, but it also helps me to be feeling that what I can do is I can choose to let go of my own, wanting my own way, and choose to offer him a gift of grace, allowing him to be imperfect, allowing myself to be ridiculous and imperfect, and just allowing things to be as they are. Because in the aftermath, it's very difficult to know I found it difficult, let me just say, where do we go from here? And so what I learned is that allowing ourselves to be imperfect, but also allowing this ability to make huge mistakes is not the end of the world. It's just exposing that my heart is needy, my heart is sore, and from past issues, never mind what's going on right now. And he's allowed to have a life, technically, that's clean and saves money, and I'm allowed to have my life, technically, that's maybe a little more messy and that spends more money. So just allowing the messiness to be messy and inviting love in just calms my heart and gives peace to my soul. And giving away what I think is so important to me, like apologizing, saying you're absolutely right, you are allowed to have those things, they sound very reasonable. And we both have this contrasting view of how to live our lives, but the working out of it, we're bringing two hearts into one. It's a messy struggle, but I just want to say that for me, surrendering control, letting it go, is not as scary as it sounds. And it reaps a benefit that's just, it's mind-blowingly worth it. It's so worth it. Just to let go of offense and to let go of control and just to be willing to be humble and look at someone from their point of view without worrying whether they're doing it back to you or not. It only takes one to bring peace to a relationship, to a marriage. I know everyone says it takes two, but let me tell you, in my experience, it takes two to fight. It takes two to fight. And trusting God to meet the desires of my heart, it was an incredible experience that brought us through some of the rough patches of our marriage. And that's not the whole story. It's a wide and big story. But for today, that's what I want to say. Sometimes the best thing you can do is to humble yourself, let go, and see from their point of view. And maybe bend over backwards more than you would normally do to bring peace. That softens our partner's hearts. And we want to live with our hearts wide open. I bless you today. Be led by the Spirit above all else. We want peace and joy in our lives, Father. Come, Holy Spirit. Thanks for listening, everyone. Enjoy your relationships today, for you are so loved. See you next time.